Hello once again. Thank you for joining me on my channel as we continue the topic which we started the last time in the last video, discussing the power of environment. I think I would like to even call it the power and influence of environment. The last time we were looking at how environment impacts us, and we did mention the fact that whatever you become in life, whatever you do in life, whether you leave a legacy or not, whether you become great or not, whether you live a happy and a fulfilled life, will be determined by your environment. We also talked about the fact that you are the sum total of your environment. Why? Because your decisions, the decisions you make, the choices you make are all determined by the information that you're exposed to. But the information that you're exposed to is also determined by the environment in which you live in. And if you remember, before we completed the last video, I asked a question. And the question was, have you ever wondered why two children who were born into the same home, grew up under the same parents, lived in the same house, attended the same school, did everything, almost lived an identical life, why one eventually becomes great in life and the other one amounts to nothing? Why one becomes rich and wealthy and the other one is poor and broke? And that was the last question I left with us before we rounded up the last video. Now today, I want to answer that question. I don't know what the question, what your answer was to that question, but you see, I've discovered in life that two people can be born into the same home, grow up under the same parents, do everything together, attend the same school, but eventually one becomes better than the other. Why? I discovered it is because of knowledge. The knowledge that one has acquired compared to the knowledge that the other one has acquired. Knowledge sets them apart. Knowledge will always set people apart. The amount and the quality of knowledge that you have, the quality of knowledge that you are operating in will determine how far you go. But you know what? The knowledge that you have is also influenced by your environment. Now let's look at the importance of knowledge. I know you've heard the common slogan that says knowledge is power, knowledge is power. You see, I've looked at that statement and I've come to realize that that is a partial truth. It's not the whole truth. I have come to realize that knowledge is only what I call partial power. Knowledge is potential power. It is the application of knowledge that is power. Now, you can have knowledge, but if the knowledge is not applied, it is a waste. So knowledge is potential power, but the application of knowledge is what is power. He that has a book but refuses to read it is not better than the one that doesn't have the book. So you having knowledge and not applying that knowledge, it's a waste. You are not better than the person who doesn't have the knowledge. And that's why I said knowledge is partial power. Knowledge is potential power. It is applied knowledge that is the real power. When I talk of knowledge, I'm not actually referring to the textbook knowledge that we got in school. As important as that is, as foundational as that is, that knowledge gave us a footing to start off in life. But you see, I'm not primarily referring to the knowledge you acquired in school, the knowledge of physics, the knowledge of biology, the knowledge of chemistry. They are important, yes. But you see, the knowledge I am talking about is the knowledge of life, the knowledge of how life works, the knowledge of the laws and the principles that governs life, the knowledge of the laws and the principle that governs life. That is the knowledge I am referring to today. Until you understand the principles and the law that governs life, life will continue to remain a mystery. One thing you need to understand is this. It is the knowledge of the laws and the principle that governs life that determines whether you will live a successful life on earth. The knowledge of the laws and principles will take away the mystery that is in life. You see, life is predictable. Knowledge of the laws and the principles of life will help you to live a peaceful life. It will help you to live a successful life. If you lack the knowledge of the laws and the principle that governs life, life will remain a mystery. Life will remain a pain to you. That is why having knowledge is very, very important. Do everything you can to acquire knowledge of the laws and the principles that govern life. Based on our topic, within our context, we shall be looking at one of that knowledge, and that is the knowledge of your environment. The knowledge of your environment is what we shall be focusing on today. Now, before I continue, let's briefly look at what exactly is environment. We talk about environment every day. People use the word environment, but let's actually look exactly at what environment is, and we shall be taking some lessons from the definition of environment. I'm going to read out the definition of environment according to the Oxford English Dictionary. So, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, environment is defined as this. It says the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates, and the settings or condition in which a particular activity is carried out. I'll read that again so that you can get it clearly. It says environment is defined as the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates, and the setting or conditions in which a particular activity is carried on. Now, from that definition, there are some key words I need you to take notice of in that definition. And these are the key words. The first one is surrounding. It says the surrounding or condition. The first word is surrounding. The second word is condition. The third word is operates. The fourth word is setting. The fifth word is activity. So all these words are what I have gleaned out, right, out of the definition of environment. And now, why did I do that? It's for us to understand within the context of our discussion today what environment really is. Now, based on that definition, these are some of the things that I deduced from the definition. First and foremost, environment, right? The things that live or operate in your surrounding. The things that are in your surrounding and the things that operate in your surroundings. Environment is also the state and the condition of those things that are in your surrounding, their state and their condition. But it goes further than that. Environment also means the way that you operate based on how you are conditioned. Remember, it says environment are the surroundings or conditions in which a person lives or operates, the settings or conditions in which a particular activity is carried on. So environment is the environment speaks about the way that you operate based on how you are conditioned. And lastly, your activities, the activities that you carry out based on specific conditions or how you have been conditioned. So when we are talking of environment, we are talking of those things that are around you, those things that are conditioning you, those things that are operating within your sphere, that are having an impact in you. That is what we are referring to as environment. Now, there are different types of environment. In subsequent videos, we'll be going through the different type of environment, and you begin to learn some lessons concerning environment. So we're talking about those things, those activities, those operations, those things that is within your vicinity, right? That is having an impact in your life, that is conditioning you, that is conditioning how you operate, that is conditioning how you see life, that is conditioning your worldview, that is conditioning your value systems, that is conditioning your values in life. Those are the things that we are looking at, and those are the things we referred to as environment. So you can see from this definition that your environment conditions you. Your environment conditions your mind. Your environment conditions how you act. Your environment conditions how you behave. Your environment conditions your worldview. Your environment. That is how important and how powerful environment is. Environment is very powerful. What can we understand from the little I've talked about? What can we understand or what can we see from the definition of environment? Your environment conditions your mind. The state of your mind will be determined by the state of the environment you found yourself. The state of your mind, the state of your thinking will be determined by the environment in which you live in. Environment conditions your mind, but based on how your mind has been conditioned will determine how you operate. How you operate refers to how you see life, your outlook to life. Some people look at life as life when you put water in a cup, right? Half full. Some people look at the cup half full and some look at the cup half empty. It is all determined by the environment in which they are operating in. See, your environment will eventually determine your decisions and actions. Why? Because your environment conditions your mind. There are things that are in your surroundings. There are things that operate in your surroundings. There are activities that go on in your surroundings. They are consciously or unconsciously, deliberately or not deliberately, affecting you, impacting you, conditioning you to act and think and operate in a certain way. That is why you need to know that the environment in which you live, the environment in which you operate, determines your life. It determines the outcome of your life. It determines the decisions you make. It determines how you see life. It determines your outlook. It determines your worldview. It determines your value system, your environment. It is very important that you know this. In subsequent video, we shall be discussing even deeper for you to begin to realize that who you are today is a product of your environment. Who you are today is a product of the decisions you have taken in the past. You are a sum total of all your decisions. You are a sum total of all your decisions. And all your decisions have been conditioned by your environment. So we will be looking at different environments and we'll be looking on how you can begin to shape your environment, how you can begin to create your environment so that you begin to live a purposeful life. You begin to live a life that is fulfilling. You begin to live a life of impact. You begin to live a life that is enviable. You begin to live a life that people will look up to you. Why? Because you have taken the decision to live in an environment that you are conscious of. Today, a lot of people are in an environment, they are not even conscious of their environment. Their environment is making their choices for them. Your environment is making their decisions for them. Their environment is making framing their belief. Their environment is framing their worldview. And they don't even know, they are not even conscious of it. So lastly, before we finish, let's look at the link between environment and your habits. It's so simple, and it's what I've been saying. Your environment influences your decisions and actions. You don't make choices, your environment makes them for you. The choices you make, you think you make them, you are not the one making those choices. It is your environment that is making those choices for you. Why? Because your environment has influenced your decisions and your actions. So when you make a choice, your environment has made it for you. And you know how a habit forms. When you repeatedly do something over and over and over again, it becomes a habit. And because your environment is influencing you, because your environment is choosing making your choices for you, because your environment is making your decisions and taking your actions for you, you continuously do the same thing over and over again. Before you know it, you form a habit. In effect, what am I saying? Even your habits has been formed by the influence of your environment. Your habit has been conditioned by your environment. That is how powerful environment is. Your habit is determined by your environment. If you must change your habit, you must change your decisions. And if you must change your decisions, you must change your choices. And if you must change your choices, you must change your knowledge, the knowledge that you have. For you to change your knowledge, you must change the information that you are exposed to, the information that you feed on. But for you to change those information, you have to change your environment. So it's a chain reaction. It's a chain reaction. To change your habit, you need to first of all change your environment. Your environment will determine the information you're exposed to. The information you're exposed to will determine the knowledge you have. The knowledge you have will determine your choices. The choices you make will determine the decisions you take. The decisions you take will eventually frame your habits once you do it over and over again. So you see, environment is very, very important. You must begin to look into your environment. For today, we have seen the definition of environment, and we've been able to pick a couple of words from the definition of environment. We've been able to pick out the fact that we talk about the surroundings, we talk about the conditions, we talk about the operations around you, we talk about settings and activities. So it simply means those things that are in your environment, those things that are actually there in your environment conditioning you, those things that make you operate in a certain way is what we refer to as environment. So I just want to encourage you to join me in our future video post so that you continue with this series and you get the full thoughts of what I'm actually discussing about. So I want to thank you very much for hanging and sticking with me for the past few minutes that we've been discussing the topic of the power and the influence of environment. Before I go, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel, press the notification bell so that you can get future videos. Also leave your comments, whatever you think. If you have any questions, just leave your comment. And also I will encourage you to like the video, just like the video, and also subscribe so that you can get our videos. I want to say thank you very much for being a part of the message today. Thank you and God bless. Bye.